After the Earth was used up, we found a new solar system, and hundreds of new Earths were terraformed and colonized. The central planets formed the Alliance and decided all the planets had to join under their rule. There was some disagreement on that point. After the war, many of the independents who had fought and lost drifted to the edges of the system, far from Alliance control. Out here, people struggled to get by with the most basic technologies. A ship would bring you work. A gun would help you keep it. A captain's goal was simple: find a crew, find a job. Keep flying.
Hi, it's me, Cassie. I'll be doing a review of Firefly Season 1, Episode 2. I'd like to explore the ideas of this post-apocalyptic dystopian universe. How you've got space cowboys branching out in a space opera. About how there's the core group, the Alliance, who's has a tyrannical rule over everyone else, even the people in the Outer Rim, and how disjointed the Alliance is. They can be a dictatorship for everybody, wanting that power, control, money to tie up everything and everyone for their own glory and their own riches, and how they insert dominance and superiority scientifically, medically, military-wise, how they just destroy and eat up everything, how they just control everything, and have this stranglehold on everything and everyone, and how they make outlaws of basic people, and how they treat the people in the Outer Rim as if they're nothing, as if they're less than. It's very sad. Just same old humanity's ways of oppressing each other and hating each other. Just seems like there's no hope sometimes. There's one thing these dystopian worlds have, it's the depravity of humanity wanting to control resources, control others. It's the total epic story of the have and have-nots in a dystopian universe, as it always is. The hierarchy of control and who has the most power, who has the most money, who has the most influence over one another, whether it's medical or financial or what have you. It's just, where does it ever end? Where's the true peace and hope in things? Just seems like you could never win sometimes. But I like how the crew of the Firefly push back in their own unique ways. You got Jane, who does it because he looks out for himself and they just pay the most. You got the captain, who's a fallen leader in the fight for independence, and his first mate, and how she's his loyal companion when it comes to being his best friend, and her husband, which is the one that flies the ship, how they're pretty loyal to the captain. You got the companion who rents a shuttle out of the ship and still has a bit of loyalty to the captain. You've got the engineer who she's loyal to the captain. And then you've got the doctor and his sister River. They are a fascinating case running from the Alliance. Then you've got River, who's broken, a broken kid. Her own parents, I guess, allowed her to go to the school, and they just gave up on her. It's like they sold their soul and their daughter to have security and comfort. Makes me wonder if her parents even feel guilty that she was taken and exploited and used as a lab rat scientifically. That's very disturbing that parents would let their kids be used as a test subject like that, and allowed the government to medically experiment on her and use her brain as a lab rat. I guess I'm sure things like that happen all the time, but it gets covered up and pushed to the background and nobody talks about it. It's very unfortunate. I wonder what'll happen when and if the Alliance catches up with the Firefly and their crew. I wonder what'll happen with River and what that happens if they do catch her. I wonder if they'll try to kill her or continue to experiment on her. That's a horrifying thought that they'll take her back and use her as a lab rat again just because she's really smart and they've done something to her head. Do they not care that she's just a kid? Do they not care that she's human? Do they have no concept of her being human? Or do they just think she's expendable because her parents gave up on her? Parents had to give up on her, right? Because the only one that seems to be fighting for her is her brother. He risked everything and gave up everything as a doctor in the inner core of the planets with the Alliance to protect his sister. Why didn't the parents do that? Are the parents involved? Or are they still alive? Do they care what happens to River? Did they sell her down the river like I thought before? Am I remembering that correctly? It's been so long since I've seen this show. I guess I'll find out and rediscover that, but it's hard to imagine parents just letting their kid be exploited like that and tested on scientifically and medically like that. It's a very, very disturbing thought. Whew, ugh, yuck. Hi, this is Cassie. It's Wednesday, January the 14th, 2026. I'm reviewing Firefly Season 1, Episode 2. Finding work in the Outer Rim, keeping your crew safe. Space cowboys and outlaws working a fine line between surviving and pushing back against the Alliance. Committing crime for survival and making money just so they can get from place to place and live. The tension and all that requires must be astounding. Some people would just be greedy and do it as selfish gains. The captain and his first mate, though, are held up on a planet due to a plane going awry when they take a order from a criminal overlord to steal a package off a train on a planet, and they didn't ask what it was. They get held up when their crew gets the item, and Jane and his first mate get left on the train while his crew gets away. And while they're being held up, Jane wants to rush off and get the money from the criminal overlord and maybe come back. But the preacher reminds him that waiting might save their lives. The thing is, the dangerous criminal that hired them would probably get nervous and kill them all anyway if they jump the gun with the captain not being there. River's premonition, seeing the future possibly, starts to take root. That will come in clutch later as useful and dangerous, possibly. We'll see how that goes and plays out. Mel, the captain, and his first mate doing the right thing versus sticking to the plan just to make money. Especially when they find out that they stole medical supplies from this small town on this planet, and that these people are sick and they need the supplies. They have to allow their way through the grift just to see about surviving first before they can think about returning the goods to get back to their ship, just to get the goods back to them. Of course, they stole the supplies for the criminal overlord, but they realize that the medical supplies are needed by the planet's people and inhabitants that live there. And, of course, Jane back on the ship sows even more discord and pushes to be in control and fights the rest of the crew and sows discord trying to take off and abandon the captain and the first mate. The doctor drugs him to buy some time for the rest of the crew to get Mel and his first mate back. They have to figure out how to do that and come up with a plan before Jane wakes up from being drugged and takes off again. The companion rescues them and brings them back to the ship. Quite brilliantly, actually. And she even throws in a couple of smacks, which is hilarious. They get boarded by the criminal overlord's thugs while trying to return the stolen medical goods. And, of course, the Firefly crew takes a beating for that. And the thugs warn them that they'll be chased down for it. that they won't be let off that easy, which, of course, why would they? River's condition continues to get worse as she stays disoriented sometimes, and sometimes she's normal. Her brother, Dr. Simon Tam, still doesn't quite know what to make of it and doesn't know what her condition is because he doesn't know what the Alliance doctors did to her exactly. And an Alliance investigators fly out to the planet and to see if River and anybody had spotted her and if there was a connection there. And the battle to find River by the Alliance officials continues. They always seem to be a few steps behind the Firefly's crew. Conclusion and thoughts. How do space cowboys doing cons and grifts to survive hit home in this dystopian space soap opera? Is drugging Jane to buy some more time for the rest of the crew to get Mel and the captain back? Mel the captain and his first mate back, is that ethical, not ethical? That's the question also. How will the criminal overlord hunt down the crew of the Firefly because of because he didn't get his medical supplies and they still have the money? At least I think looked like they still had the money. And will the Alliance authorities ever catch up with River and the Firefly crew? I thought it was hilarious when Jane got drugged because the crew was sick of dealing with him. And nobody even batted an eye, not even Preacher. The Space Cowboys taking the law in their own hands to do what they need to do to survive in this dystopian space opera is kind of satisfying. I hate to admit it. The criminal overlords always seem to show up when you least expect it, but then, of course, there's always consequences to these things, and it's a double-edged sword. I seriously dislike this dictatorship group calling themselves the Alliance. They seem to thrive on power and money and controlling people all the way throughout this new galaxy. And that's what dictators do. They thrive on power and glory, and they like to take a stranglehold on everything and anyone just to maintain control. It's very sad. Well, that's all for my thoughts right now. Over and out.